Hi, I'm Max Walker&Williams, and today I've travelled down to London to be here at DCon, the annual design conference in XL London. And I'm with two very impressive gentlemen and two of the three co-founders of VeVe. Founded in 2017, VeVe is a market-leading platform for collectibles, digital assets and NFTs. With over 500,000 downloads, they work with some of the largest brands in the world, including Coca-Cola, Disney and Marvel, to name but a few. Between 2018 and 2021, they turned over $110 million. Dan Crothers is a serial entrepreneur, having founded Digitas in 2001. It's gone on to be an incredibly successful advertising and web agency, and in 2006, Herb.co, which is the largest cannabis community online in the world with over 4 million users. David is no stranger to success either. Having moved to New Zealand when he was 7 years old, he first went to Disneyland Tokyo in 1989, and it was there that he found his lifelong love for everything collectible and Disney. David is the executive director and founder or trustee of at least 10 businesses and charities. Gents, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for agreeing to meet me. What a fantastic event. What do you think so far? Are you happy with the turnout?
Yeah, amazing. Just really good to see our fans here live.
Meet in real life. Because have you been to the UK before with DCon and VeVe?
No.
This is your first?
It is our first one.
Okay.
You know, we piggyback on the Anaheim show that we just done.
Yeah.
And we got another big one coming up, I think, in the end of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that will be about 50 times bigger than this.
Right, wow.
Yeah.
And how do the fans compare? Be careful, because there's a lot of them stood just there. How do the fans compare stateside? And
I'd probably say the same, really.
Yeah?
Yeah, VeVe fans seem to be the same all around the world.
One massive family.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the same sort of passion. And
yeah.
I can't believe how sort of respectful everybody is. You know, even when you guys are clearly, that you've got a great following, they're very passionate, but they're not sort of, they're giving you your time and to sign, and it's really, really a family-friendly environment, isn't it?
Totally, yeah.
So tell me, how did VeVe come about? Because you two have got very similar, but at the same time, very different backgrounds. So how did you meet, personally?
We actually met 25 years ago when my sales guy gave David a call. David, you think you just started Vagabond?
Yeah, and back in 97.
97, yeah.
97.
I was looking to build a website, e-commerce for my shop.
Yeah.
And Daniel and his co-founder Lucas came about. I actually didn't have a lot of money back then.
Okay.
So we did a contract where I paid 50%, and the other 50% he could pick on stock in my store, like full
credit.
store
I thought you were going to say he still owes you. Yeah. No. So you got stock. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So I got like cool Gundams,
a
lot
of
of
games,
Warhammer,
role-playing games. And that's really how we got in touch and how we become friends. And we, ever since we kept in touch the whole time.
Yeah. So it's nice that there was a connection, because if you'd had money and paid him, you might never have. And look at what's happened as a result. That's fantastic. And when did it become official? So it became whose idea was it? How did it come about? Like, how did it form day one?
I mean, both Dave and I started getting into crypto around the same time.
Yeah.
We became like quite enamored with blockchain technology, and we started looking at opportunities in the space. And then I think it was CryptoKitties came out. First digital collectible. And then because, Dave had already been doing a lot of work with brands in the past, like, everything in his stores, we just thought that it would be possibly a very disruptive concept to bring all of these IP brands into the digital space.
Yeah, and one of our first product that we brought out was the Comey Secure Wallet. And what we really tried to demonstrate there was to have a product, to have a digital asset that's have a secure way of storing digital product, because we really thought major brands will only be partnered with a company who can be trusted. So, when we want people to think about Ecomi or VeVe, we want people to think we're safeguarding their digital asset. That was the first footprint. And it was quickly, we came up with the idea that, hey, why don't we approach some of the licensors that I have dealt with and people that I have surrounded myself with the last 25 years. And I think the first person that came on board was the famous Al Khan. And Al was extremely supportive of my whole career for 25 years.
Wow.
He was the founder, CEO, chairman of 4 Kids, who brought out some of the most amazing anime outside of Japan. So he had the Pokemon, he had the Yu-Gi-Oh, and just amazing track history, marketing, for video game company, Cabbage Patch Dolls, and so on. And I reconnected with Al about 2017 or 18, and I told him, listen now, I'm about to look into digitalize everything that I sell in my shop, and why don't you come in the journey? And at the beginning, Al didn't actually know what the hell
you were talking
about and how we're going to do it.
That's true for everybody. Like,
I was going to say that wasn't
what NFTs were. Anything.
And something about Al which really inspired me was he didn't actually say no. He went away. He went back to New York. He actually hired someone to make him understand why would someone want to learn.
Wow.
It was a blockchain
what a visionary,
expert.
to go and check that actually there might be something in this.
Yeah, and then he dropped me an email. He said, Dave, let's meet up in Las Vegas. Then we'll talk a little bit more further about this opportunity. And, once again, when we got there, it was a very hard sell. It wasn't just hard sell for Al to understand what digital was. The licensor, they just had no idea what we were talking about.
And they're so risk averse because they're so big, a lot of these brands that you deal with, like the default answer is no. And then you've got to convince them otherwise, I guess. With that in mind, I read in an interview recently, David, that you said that through Marvel you got Disney, and that took 2 years from start to sort of having them signed up. It took 2 years. Can you explain that process? Because that's a hell of a long time, isn't it? And did you ever feel like giving up? Was there a time when you said it wasn't going to happen?
The thing is that the whole thing was a hard graft the whole time.
It's easy looking back, isn't it? Look at what all these guys have got. What people don't see is the journey that you have to go through. So can you talk a little bit about how you got them? And
it actually took a bit longer than 2 years, I think, overall. And number one is if you live in the crypto digital world, every 6 weeks is like a year. It was very hard to balance a business where you have crypto as well as physical, because in the crypto world, you move so fast, so people want it now. I mean, our audience are constantly asking when is the next big brand we're announcing, when are we doing this, when we're doing that.
Features on the app.
In actual fact, it takes a lot of time for developer to develop and launch these features. And then we'll talk a little bit about that or behind the scene and the element in it. But going back to your question about the licensor, it took a number of years, and we had to start with smaller regions. So I think I approached and I got introduced to the head of Disney Corporation in the Greater China region. Right. And from there, they go, you need to talk to our head office. We had no idea what you're doing. I think the head office couldn't get their heads around. Their legal was and harm about how you're going to digitalize this and if it's even doable. And back then, the word blockchain is tinted a bit. It's
like a dirty word.
Yeah. Still a little bit, even now, That'll change, obviously, over time.
And then we got introduced to go, listen, maybe you want to speak to our counterpart, the smaller division in our overall business, maybe start with one of our umbrella company, and obviously Marvel was one of them. And it's something that I'm quite passionate. You know, I have a lot of background in collecting comics through my retail store, selling these superheroes.
Yeah.
And
You weren't coming
slowly-
in cold.
Yeah.
You weren't. They knew that you were emotionally invested in what they do. It wasn't just you guys saw an opportunity, want to make a quick
I
buck.
would say that was one of the main reasons that we got the licensors, because they saw us as, you know, a company that was truly passionate about
Fan
collecting.
first.
Fandoms.
And a business second.
Yeah, and that's the language that they speak.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and you know, well, it took a while with Marvel. Disney came on board. We had other licensors already pre-signed up prior to that, and obviously the hardest thing was we were always under NDA. We couldn't tell anybody what anyone's doing, and if we could say more. I mean, even sitting here.
Is that
talking
true today?
To you,
Yeah, so it's true today.
Yeah, even
You're not going to break any NDAs today now?
No, even the things that we got up and coming, we couldn't say.
Yeah.
And realistically, these things have been in the work for a number of years.
Of course.
And to see in the VeVe app, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of people to do one drop today.
Yeah.
Even with today's drop, it takes a lot of effort.
And entire teams behind that working hard.
Correct.
But that's why VeVe, in my opinion, is one of the market leaders. It's because of the quality. You know, I think good things take time, even in the tech. It's just that sometimes fans' expectations are a bit unrealistic, which is a shame. Has that got easier, Dan, now that you have some of these incredible brands on board? Are doors opening quicker and easier? And do companies sometimes ring you even?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, like, you know, back in the day, you know, we would go to see licensors like 10, 20, 30 times.
Just knocking doors. And
I mean, Dave and I are very tenacious people. We don't give up very easily. And I think that's how we managed to get the first licensors on board. But now, you know, there's a proven track record. You know, they see that this space is going to work and they want to move into it.
Amazing.
And obviously, we share a big vision with our license partners or vendors, I call them. And you know, we are learning as we go. And I mean, this is an ongoing building process. It will be a while before we get to the final goal.
Okay. Can you, for people coming into VeVe for the first time, a lot of the people who watch my channel are H-Barbarians, they're in here, they're Hashgraph, and so I know some of them will be familiar with VeVe, and when they see this video, they're going to be piling in. Can you just explain the company structure? Because there's Comey, isn't there? And then there's OMI, which is the token on GoChain, and then there's VeVe, which is the app. Is that right? Is that the correct structure?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, but OMI is on Ethereum.
Right.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's an ERC20.
Okay, it's an ERC20.
So basically, VeVe is the app that you know it, the digital collectible app, and then Comey is the underpinning tokenomics of the product.
Okay,
now,
this is the engine of the...
exactly, yeah. So every time you spend gems in the app, there's some kind of tokenomic mechanism happening in the background. Now, we have always had very lofty plans for the OMI token, but because the app literally just went like that, you know, it was more like keeping the app going, keeping licensors happy, just like literally trying to stay afloat.
Yes.
Everything kind of got a little bit delayed. But now we're kind of back at a nice surface level. We're cruising along. 2023, I think, is going to be a very exciting year.
That's exciting because my next question actually was going to be, as an outsider looking in, it looks like VeVe is a collectibles app that happens to be on cryptographic technology because that facilitates the rarity of digital assets.
Exactly.
But it's very much a digital collectors app, and cryptocurrency is almost second to that.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, I mean, I would say that it is inherently integrated into blockchain because, as you say, you know, we couldn't have digital asset limited edition without that.
Yeah.
But our approach was always that we wanted easy onboarding because we wanted the mass market user. So that's why it seems like crypto is all in the background, but ultimately it's because that is what how we wanted to pitch the product. So it was easy to get people on. You didn't have to worry about your wallet or looking after your private key, anything like that.
Okay.
So yeah, that was always our approach.
Which makes great sense because it's Web 3 almost acting like Web 2. and the interface and everything is so simple. You can use fiat to buy gems, and the whole thing is quite seamless. And I think that's really, really clever what you've done there. Rather than trying to build Web3 and wait for people to come, you can always update that as the technology evolves. Why, if you don't mind me asking, Ethereum? Because clearly, I don't need to list the issues with Ethereum in terms of...
Well, the thing is, we went with layer 2 because I think we've minted something like 7.5 million NFTs since VeVe launched. And we had to have a platform that was extremely cheap. We're also dealing with a lot of these big public companies, so it had to be eco-friendly. And the thing is with Ethereum is that even though it's got problems, it is the most ubiquitous, widely used platform out there.
Yeah.
So there's many different paths we could have gone down, but ultimately at the end of the day, VeVe will more than likely supports multi-chain like other
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I think because of the way you are a collectibles app rather than the cryptocurrency business of sorts, I think the fact that there's that you alluded there, there are more people on Ethereum than anywhere else, which in fact, for you guys it almost doesn't matter because you're customer front facing with fiat credit card, 2 gems, and they don't see the engine in the car, they just see the car itself. Correct. So you could really be on any platform.
Exactly. And
so I encourage you to check out Hedera Hashgraph. I would be killed by my followers if I didn't tell you to look into Hedera Hashgraph. Can you explain the OMI tokenomics? Because there's 750 billion tokens, that's right, isn't it?
Yep. But
it's deflationary. They get burned when an NFT is sold on. Why is that? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. So we basically got half of the token supply is all locked up in the reserve. And essentially, as the users buy gems or spend gems on NFTs, the tokens get moved out of the reserve into the burn wallet. And then the remaining of the tokens is out in the circulating supply. I could actually talk more deep into it, but we are actually about to release next quarter a whole overview of what our plan is for 2023 with the tokenomics. So I prefer not to.
Okay, no, that's cool.
Just to talk about,
we can have a catch up later down the line if you want, and we can talk about it. That'd be fantastic.
It'd be great to talk about the new model,
the way you're going to structure the new model. I'd love to talk about that. Yeah. Okay, VeVe is a walled garden, and please forgive me. I mean this from a genuinely inquisitive point of view, especially having met you both. You're clearly very genuine and very open people who are willing to engage with the community. And Web3 and the whole point of cryptographic technology is that it's decentralized. And then you guys are a walled garden. Is that going to remain as is for people who don't know that a walled garden means that you can't currently take the NFTs off the platform and you can't bring other NFTs from anywhere else to the platform? Meaning if you wanted to show off anything in the metaverse, you wouldn't be able to yet. Is that going to remain as is? Are you going to remain a walled garden, or are you going to open the doors?
Well, it actually comes down to our licensors at the end of the day. It is their IP, right? Yeah. And you've got to remember, we signed these deals years ago. And back then, some of the bigger companies were a bit nervous, a bit trepidatious about, having their IP go out into the Wild West.
Just letting the horse out and then it's gone.
Exactly. And one of the things that they liked about VeVe is that they could have their IP in a very controlled environment. They knew what was going to happen. So, ultimately, it'll more than likely change, but it's kind of out of our hands.
Yeah. Okay. If you could land one customer that you don't currently have, who would it be? One brand you guys like?
Don't say the P word, Dave.
We are constantly negotiating deals with all the brands.
Yeah.
Who's the one? One thing about VeVe is we do want every single brand that is to do with fandom to be on it.
Yeah.
So I guess
this is a very political answer you're giving. You can have a personally, which is your favorite? Come on, David. I know you're thinking about it right now. Which is the one you want? Come on.
Well, there's categories that we are working on this quarter.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if we have a favorite, to be honest. Because
personally, not VeVe. I'm saying Dan and David.
I think anime, Japanese anime is something for me very, very big.
It's like coming home.
All brands associated with Japanese brands
and culture.
And culture that's coming in. We really want to see these ones to come back. Yeah, and we have a lot in the work already on it.
How do you see what you're building, which is fantastic, by the way, the digital collectors market? How do you see that affecting the physical market in terms of price and value? Does it fall away?
No, I think in the way we have built the physical collecting even stronger. We have seen comic, artist toys. Even at Decon, you see a lot of these fans are going around trying to secure the physical copy of the NFT that they have purchased. You know, we constantly have people come up to us to tell us how they bought this comic, they in digital, now they have it in physical format.
Or like the Todd.
Yeah, the Todd DC collectible is one of them. And a major thing that we will be doing coming up is the digital business, which means, for example, here you had a Ron English, Jeff Poon, like Inspire, Grim Rabbit.
Yes.
You're going to get a physical one.
Yes.
And you get a certificate, and you get a digital one as well, signed by the artist.
So it's going to complement and enhance. And you think that goes on indefinitely?
Yeah.
I think physical collecting will always be around.
Always be there.
Yeah. And digital is just really a new. I mean, like if you're a fan of Star Wars, you've got the T-shirt, the mugs, the movies, the poster,
and now the NFT too.
Physical,
So it's just another category in the same
way that
industry.
Fans can express their,
and connect.
their joy for it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, what if what does the end goal? You mentioned earlier, Ading, the end goal for VeVe. What does that look like? If you had a magic wand, 15 years down the line, are you a multi-billion dollar company? And are you all things to all men? Are you Web3, Metaverse, the whole show?
Yeah, I mean, we like to, I quite often use the word the afterlife of the VeVe NFT right now, what's going to be. Number one, which I want all the collectors out there to know, is that I've been collecting for all my life, 25 years. I have the first edition of Pokemon card. I have first edition of mini stamps, comic books.
You
first
have
appearance.
your entry tickets
Yeah,
to the
Disneyland.
1989 Disneyland.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, these are the first appearance of the superhero, of the characters that you know of in digital format. Forever, it's going down on the record. VeVe have introduced these characters into digital. So in 10, 15, 20 years time, when you want to start collect Spider-Man, for example, the first one is on VeVe. Right now, the market is probably only this small, but eventually the fan's going to get to 10, 20, 50, 60 million.
Yeah.
And when it gets there, it's really about supply and demand. So naturally, the earlier start is going to be more sought after, more collectible. I mean, that's where, number one, we see the collectible value. Number two is we really understand that Web3, that space, what's going to happen to these NFT. There's something, we can't announce it here, but things that we have been working on for a number of years is the metaverse as well. I mean, right now the metaverse has been a very big marketing buzzword. I mean, I don't really believe any metaverse is interruptible yet. I mean, we're still much too early.
Way too early.
So VeVe, going back to your last question, in 2017, there was the only marketplace was OpenSea, and I think maybe Rarible or a couple other marketplaces out there.
Yeah.
Now, so VeVe took the opportunity to go, well, if I do own the Spider-Man, if I do own these comics, where am I going to trade them? So we actually build it within the app so the user can have easy access to these and understand. But once again, we think a lot further, and we're then leading the team into the metaverse side of things. It's really, opening up another whole side of what VeVe's doing.
Okay. You're so customer centric, and it's a real, I get the sense it's a real family and a real, the fandom, because you guys are, at the same, you're all cut the same cloth. So it kind of begs the question. I was surprised when I first downloaded VeVe that isn't a chat feature on there. Is that something to come, or have you deliberately swerved that?
We deliberately left that out because unfortunately when VeVe started off and getting very, very popular, there were a lot of scams out there. So one of the main reasons right now that you can't add a friend or tag to a friend is because we wanted to make sure we were protecting our users. But now that we've got KYC in place and we really know who everyone is, and the app is a lot more
streamlined and
safe. It's a lot safer now.
Yes.
It is inevitable that we'll bring in the ability to add friends, do direct sales, chat, all of that. All of those kind of social features are coming now that we feel more comfortable with
Okay.
the security of our users.
And just in terms of getting to your end goal, what do you see as the biggest potential barrier? What if it weren't to happen or didn't quite happen at the scale that you believed? Would it be, for example, because I was thinking it took you more than 2 years to get Disney, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but my experience with companies of that size, and I've dealt with a lot of them in my time, is that they're a bit of a nightmare because it's so diverse in terms of the IP. You guys can digitalize it, but you can't put it on a lunchbox. But you can put it on a T-shirt as long as the T-shirt's blue. You can sell it in France, but you can't sell it in Spain. So when you go big and you scale, how do you bring that all into one funnel, if you like, and how do you not inadvertently step on anyone else's toes? How do you scale Disney if you can only have it in certain avenues or certain versions? Is that a problem you think you'll, as you try to scale?
I mean, we work very closely with all of our licensors, and a lot of them, like some licensors, want to be very hands-on with what's coming out and how it looks. And
oh, really? They're actually seeing it before it goes live and all. Yeah.
Massive approval processes.
Yeah.
But then there's other licensors who are actually quite hands-off,
right?
And they let us do a lot of the creative development.
Yeah.
We have a very, very streamlined production pipeline because every time we do a drop, it's basically like a show. There's like 28 steps involved in releasing one single drop. So on our side, part of the business scaling is really the ability to make sure that we have these very streamlined processes and systems.
Yeah,
that can
so important to scale.
To scale.
Yeah.
So, I don't really think that's it's really an issue on our side. Yeah.
Okay, I've got last question. I've got Disney on the phone. They've called up and they said, guys, we're buying VeVe. How much would I have to pay you each to walk away?
You mean the NFT?
I mean, Disney are on the phone now. They're buying VeVe, Economy, the whole thing, lock, stock and barrel. Disney say, we're buying it. How much does it cost?
Dave and I are still so passionate about this business that selling it is obviously that's an end game for any business. But for now, we absolutely love the ride. I mean, obviously ups and downs, but
they're on the phone now. Any figure?
We still got a lot of part of our journey that we haven't completed.
Yeah. So there's still goals you want to achieve before you'll sell. I understand that completely.
Mainly it's the personal goals. There's a lot of things we want to see before. I mean, I talked a lot about new category. We got sports we haven't done. We got digitals. We got music. We really want this to be a fandom app. It's not really one app for specific brand or anything.
And it's a business, I understand that, but it's also a journey and everything that goes into it, and building something's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you guys have just started.
Like a child.
Oh no, I get it. I've built businesses, I know exactly what it's like, and you want to see it through.
Maybe it's a silent auction. It's
it's happening right now.
idea.
Okay, so these guys are getting a little bit rowdy. I think they want to get access to you guys, so I think we'll probably leave it there. But I'd love to catch up with you again on those tokenomics, if you wouldn't mind, Daniel. That'd be fantastic.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure for your time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks ever so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed watching that video as much as I enjoyed creating it. I've got to say, Daniel and David are real genuine people, and I can't think of anyone better to be running the VeVe business. If you're unfamiliar with Omi or Akomi or VeVe, I highly recommend you check them out. As always, thanks ever so much for watching. I'll see you soon.